Hello everyone. I haven't been around for some time. I had come down with the flu and I am still unwell. But this video is a long awaited video and we will get down to the job. We will make sure that this video is done today. Alright, so today we are going to speak about autism and we try to learn a few fun things that kids and adults alike can do or it can do to make themselves feel better, such as online games. We will check out games, we will check out books, and we will check out other general information. But first, let us see what autism actually is. Autism. AUTISM. So the first article that pops up in Google is huh? Yeah. Oh, okay. This is that's useless. Those were ads. So forget the ads and here is the actual answer. It's a condition related to brain development that impacts how a person perceives and socializes with others, causing problems in social interaction and communication. This disorder also includes limited and patterns of behavior. Limited and patterns of behavior. So basically, it is a condition where there is where it affects the development of the brain and how a person perceives and socializes with others, causing problems. Huh. Seems like always autism caused. What is what is autism? Okay, first let's research what is the cause of autism. Hmm. Some genetic mutation seems to be inherited while others occur spontaneously. Environmental factors. The researchers are currently exploring whether factors such as viral infection, medication, and complications during pregnancy or air pollution play a role in triggering autism. Okay, so it could be any one of these factors. The spectrum is wide. Uh, in children, what causes autism in adults? Is that even possible? No. So autism is only related to children, and of course they go it's from by birth. Alright, so cure. What is the cure cure for autism? No cure exists for that is sad. So this is a permanent condition that cannot be cured. Oh wow. Okay. And there is no one size fits all. So there's no one particular treatment as well. The goal of the treatment is to maximize your children's ability to function by reducing autism spectrum disorder symptoms. Okay. Okay, here are some options that you have. There's an article here that says, not required. Google Ads annoying at times. Okay, what are the current treatments for this? This is called all called ASD. Okay. What are the current treatments for ASD? Healthcare provides who treat ASD agree that starting supportive therapy as soon as possible is important. According to Dr. Discussion, Indian pediatrician as their awareness in the best outcome. Young children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder will typically have their needs assessed and met using their states earlier in. Okay, so this is sad. So basically, it's about training the children to function better under their condition and make sure the condition doesn't come worse. Ah, although it seems very sad, there is always there is always a bright side to things, and let's check out the bright side. So let's see what can be done to help make autism to help children with learning, or to help children who have autism with learning and other experiences. Well, let's see if there are online games or any such thing. Let's see if there's a silver lining here. And also, don't forget to comment if something can be done regarding this, and what are the things that need to be done regarding this. Comment them in the comment section. Uh, like and share this video so that a lot more people are informed about this. Let's talk about uh, games. Uh, okay, you have both genres. You have no, no, wait. Let's go online. Okay, there are 18 games for children with autism. Very popular. Okay, let's try this. Oh yes, this. Let's try this. Oh no, it's not. You don't want that. Let's try this. Hopefully this works. Oh. Okay, let's start some emotions. Okay. Okay, so there's an issue with no place. What? What is this? Okay. No, it's just some random video playing. This was no use. We were hoping for a game, an actual game, not some video. Pointless. Let's try this. Okay, we have the same issue, I think. This is an update issue. Alright, let's check out the game. Alright, I've been checking games for quite some time now and I am definitely not able to find them. Yeah. This is really weird. Okay, I am going to check. Wait, let me just put these on. Okay, so I'm gonna try to find uh, a game that will help. Otherwise, we'll switch to I'll check out YouTube videos on what games can be played with children who are fit with autism. That helps a lot. Games. Well, popular games adult for children with autism. Okay. There's a ruckus happening on the outside. We'll just wait and pass it. And that was a disaster. Okay, that is our stop. We'll just wait it out. We shall just wait it out. Card game. Okay, there are quite a. I found a lot of physical games which have been definitely have to wait that out. We shall wait it out. We shall wait it out. So first thing we shall talk of physical games. I think they're done. Yeah, I think the rest is done. So we can move on. So there's physical games. The first one that says that they talk about is tag. Unlike board games and card games, which often require players to talk to one another throughout the games, physical games like tag can work well for children with ASD because there aren't a lot of social interaction. However, the idea being it can be a little abstract and children need to understand the objective and rules of the game, such as how to tag someone else and uh, staying within a certain area in order to keep everyone safe to make sure tag is enjoyable for all students that follow. Students following attention can be made. Okay, so they can play tag. Uh, the biggest challenge would be is to make the child understand that they're it and the concept of staying within an area. That will be the challenge. Is Once you cross that channel, once you cross that hurdle, I think it's a pretty straightforward game for them as well, for them to comprehend. There are certain adaptations that you do, like it's been explained here in this article. By the way, articles are from various sources. Playing tag inside a gymnasium or other enclosed space may be wise for children with autism who are known to run away. Okay. If playing outside, preview the physical area in which the game will be played with the child ahead of time so they understand where the boundaries are. So make sure you make the kid understand where the boundaries are so that they don't cross the boundary. That seems some boundaries are good so that you can keep everything close and contained. Create a social story or visual aid to teach the rules of tag, including the idea of being it and who the person who is it can change. For example, there is one person who is it, that is the tag. The person who is it wants to tag or lightly touch another player to make them it. Okay. Someone else tags you, you are it. This concept of it and wanted is to tag and how to get person tag and lightly touch them. This seems to be a challenge because uh, this would be very advanced game according to me, something that you want to physical contact could be, as long as you're avoiding serious physical contact, this game seems quite advanced. But basic challenges are the problem. Basic challenges are the problem. Hmm. Okay, there. I'm trying to comprehend how it will work, how the game will work. Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm still getting stuck. How I would be teaching them the game. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is hide and seek. It's a fun children's game where there is one person who's it and the seeker or the person who's it covers their eyes and counts against a wall or a tree and counts a certain set of numbers, usually from 1 to 10, giving the opportunity for others to hide. While the seeker tries to catch the, or the denner tries to catch the everyone who's hiding. Uh, Okay, so there is a game may be difficult for children with autism who like to run or hide, and it can appear to if it is a game to there is a caution sign with hide and seek that it could be potentially dangerous. However, because of the limited social interaction and monitor skills used, it can be a good choice for kids with ASD the following if the following are optional. So they've given you so there is a way around to make this game safer. I'm going to read through it. There's an app to learn. We play with it. Okay, again, play it in an enclosed space inside a house or a fenced area. Care should be taken to ensure all kids are aware of a boundary that they need to stay within both for safety and so all players know where they not can and cannot hide. Similarly, reviewing the review for potential hiding places may also be beneficial. Mm, Refrigerators, freezer, avoid. Make sure it will be safer to stick caution signs or like an X mark where they cannot hide. For example, refrigerators, freezers, washers, dryers, ovens, puppetry. Okay, so now these caution signs would probably give them a visual aid as to not to climb a tree or not to hide in the oven or places where it could be potentially dangerous. Provide the child with social story or a visual code. Again, provide the child um, with a story or visual support. So they know what the sequence of events throughout game is. For example, you count to 15, I hide, quietly look for me, and you find me, then we switch. Fair enough. Way to be found may be difficult, so give the child something to do while they wait, uh, such as putty to squeeze or favorite book to look at, or quiet toy to play with may help. 'Cause so to keep child interacted during the game itself, because finding the child is may take time. So give them something to do during that time. That sounds like a very intelligent thing. So it keeps them occupied and diverts their mind from something else that they have to be doing or moving about during the game, which is clearly not the objective. Wow. Okay. This create a communication board or a visual board to provide language models throughout the game. This may include number of counting and phrases such as you found me, I found you, or come out now, wherever you are, come out wherever you are. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, so depending on the child, this is best practice, and uh, then played out, and it's better practice in a one-on-one session with an adult before having a child play with peers to ensure their safety as well. Okay, I do not say it's not possible, but basketball seems like not so much a good idea. But it is all a possibility. Many children with autism have sensitive to sound and other. sensory input. Basketball, which is often played in a potentially loud or echoey prone gymnasia, has many loud noises such as the bouncing of a ball, referees whistle blowing, shoes squeaking on the floor, and other players yelling at one another that can cause stress and or anxiety in a child with autism. While adjusting the volume of the sound in the gymnasium may not be feasible, there are a few options that help a child with ASD to be more comfortable in the environment. Okay, right. So as I said, basketball doesn't seem like the best option. I don't know basketball would work. And I feel that if possible, avoid whole thing. But let's say given the adaptation for children with autism, so let's see the adaptations. Adaptation. Use headphones or noise reducing devices that can filter out much of the sound that accompanies a basketball game, while still allowing the child to hear others who are talking to him or her, or sounds such as the whistle and the timer. Okay, so this is I learned something new today, that sounds, loud sounds and sudden sounds can agitate, irritate, or make the child anxious, can stress them out. This autism seems to have many triggers towards anxiety and stress. Oh, okay, so keeping a calm environment happens to be priority always, most of the time. Okay, discuss ahead of time, that is well in advance for a game. Practice gym class or recess when a particularly loud noise may be expected. For example, talk about how people will likely cheer or yell if a basket is made, can potentially help the child to better regulate his or her response when it happens during a game, especially teaching that the ball going through the hoop will result in loud noise, can give the child a concrete cue to look for ball in hoop, that may help them to anticipate when some loud noises may occur. Okay, so you this game is super complicated. To, I myself take time, and with these complications, there are so many things you have to keep in mind so that the child knows what should be done, where should be done. I think this is a game with a long learning curve, and a lot of practice is intended required before actually getting the child to you know before actually getting the child to start playing with a crowd. Uh, and there could be a possibility that the child will get hurt or have a fall. So better to have pads on the elbows and the knees, probably a helmet as well. Just making sure the kid is safe. I think yeah, helping the kid safety is important. So we take care of these things. Hopscotch. Okay, hopscotch is a complex game that supports children's physical coordination. And it's not just coordination, it's coordination, balance, cognitive development, and so many other aspects uh, that needs to be that's to be understood by the child. This is from working on a midline development, hopping on one foot, body control, not stepping on the lines, muscle strength, leaping over the mark, to hand-eye coordination, tossing the marker, and fine motor skills, pick up the marker while on one leg. This seemingly simple game can have a lot of benefits. However, these very skills can be challenging and thus potentially frustrating for some children with autism and may distort or discourage them from playing. Adapting the game can help the frustration level and provide opportunities for social interactions and turn talking with peers and turn taking with peers. Sorry, turn taking with peers. So there is an adaptation. This game seems extremely not difficult, but there is a lot of motor skills and hand-eye coordination. That is a must for this game, uh, which is going to be quite a challenge, which is going to be quite a hurdle pass. And I think this is one simple game since there's no physical contact. I think this is a simple game that will be both beneficial and helpful. And if done right, really fun as well. Instead of just numbering the spaces on, so this is the adaptation. Instead of just numbering the spaces on the board, use colors to differentiate them as well, which will make it easier. This can act as another visual cue for discriminating between the different squares on the board and help children know where to place their feet. Oh, that seems like that's a brilliant idea, using colors, not only numbers but colors to differentiate. Focus on one skill at a time. For example, a child might practice tossing the marker in a square and picking it up again, walking to the appropriate square okay, rather than hopping. So instead of teaching the child the game all at one shot, it would be easier to break it down into multiple parts. You can start with the tossing in order, then jumping, then hopping, hopping in, picking up the mark with one leg, and showing them the pattern to hopscotch, how the way the game goes. That that could help teach the child easier, faster, and help the progression of the game. The board can also be used to reinforce other skills such as numbers, colors, or letters recognized recognition by asking children to jump to the appropriate box as called out by a teacher or parent. Okay, instead of a marker, you can have a teacher or a parent call out the number of the club or the alphabet or animals. You can stick animals on board or draw them if you're good at drawing. I think hopscotch is practical. This is when so other than hopscotch, I think this the another game that's going to be very useful. It's Simon Says. Okay, many children with ASD thrive with predictability and knowledge and knowing what to expect. In this way, Simon says, in which one player is in one player in this game, one player is designated as Simon and stands in front of the group, directing the others to perform various acts. May be challenging because no one expects Simon knows what activity will be called out next. The apprehension a child may feel about not knowing what is coming next may prohibit him or her from paying attention to the language being used. Simon says jump versus jump and cause the child to be out before truly having a chance to be successful. So there has to be a couple of trial versions before, and I think it is you'll have to have life, so not just one uh, life, or it shouldn't be like a court situation where you make one mistake and you're not a game anymore. It would be better if you have like a couple of like you do three takes and you're out, or four takes and you're out. That would be better. So let's see what's the adaptation they've given, so we can understand a better format of game. Limit limit the activity, Simon says. Limit the activities. So you can make cards and cards that have pictures, and so Simon can pull out a card, see the picture or read what it says, simple activities, and show it to the rest of the group. And Simon has to do that. Not necessary that Simon has to be one of the people from the group. It could be a parent or a teacher or a supervising individual. That will help Simon. That will help the game. I think this game has a lot of potential to not only uh, not only to be fun but be very educational. Okay. So it says limit the activities Simon can select, such as giving Simon a list of actions from which to choose, and providing a visual aid to the children with autism the listening these same actions. These actions will be provided in the order in which they will be used in the game, allowing the children with ASD to know exactly what movements will be coming next, or as a small list of what Simon can choose, narrowing down the options and giving the children with ASD who has the same list a better idea of what's to come, even if they don't know exactly what Simon will say. So there is a bit of mystery since they won't know what Simon says. Don't use the Simon says rule. That is, if Simon doesn't say, Simon says, and you do the action, you're out. Also, avoid using that action and focus only on actions being performed. This removes the pressure of being out and could be used as a means to practice desired behaviors such as sit down, put a code, waving, saying good morning, etc. See, and be very educational, as I said. Uh, we are at board games, and I haven't played quite as many board games. It says Candyland. Candyland could be a good board game. I don't know, but let's see how it fares fortune. As with many children board games, Candyland is a fairly simple game to play, but there are sub-skills that may prohibit children with disabilities such as autism and being success from being successful at playing it without accepting instructions. For example, it may be difficult for a child to remember his or her color. Oh, okay. that could be complicated. How to follow the path from beginning to end, how to take turns, or how to understand when to move forward or backward on the board. Without these skills in place, gameplay with peers is likely to be frustrating or all involved. While these sub-skills are found in e-games, some adaptations specific to how they might pertain to Candyland are listed below. So here are Candylands adapting. Okay, board games can be frustrating, and if the attention span is short, it might just lose interest. That does that seems like a game won't go anywhere. To minimize confusion as to which game marker each child is using, attach a small photo of each student to his or her marker similar to the child's color. Also wear a paper wristband of the same color as his or her game piece to remind him or her which marker is his or hers. Okay, so something visual aid to help them remember which is their piece. Or to familiarize the child with the path of the game, practice driving a toy car around the maze, or put arrow strikes to post-it notes around the board to indicate directions. Care should be taken to explain the shortcut, mountain passes, and rainbow trails so children understand when these paths would be taken and where they lead. Keep track those turns. Keep track of whose turn it is by passing something physical around the table each time it is the next player's turn. For example, a hat or a necklace, like a Harry Potter hat, that should be up. Or a necklace could be passed around and worn during each player, or a cup placed in front of each player and passed on. After basic skills have been mastered, free move forward, address free move forward, and penalty move forward concepts. Penalty move backward concept. I think board games are very complicated. It's going to be not impossible, but tough. Tough. I am understanding large spectrum of things that I would have failed to understand if I had not made the video. Life can be difficult at times, but it's the small things that can help us move forward and help us with so many things. It's the little things, and that can make all the difference. And it's the little things like these games or activities or friends. Sometimes just watching a movie can make all the difference and give the will to move forward for those in despair. Okay, Chuts and ladders. Chuts and ladders is isn't it snakes and ladders? Okay, let's maybe a different name. Chuts and ladders is played on a very busy game board that can be confusing to look at. Keeping track of the direction in which to move game pieces as well as understanding when to move up a ladder or go down. Okay, so it is like snake and ladder. Or is this just chuck and ladder? Okay. A chat on two-dimensional board can make for a frustrating gameplay experience. That is true. That is very true. is going to be very confusing for the child. But let's see what's there. Children in general may also struggle with the fact that the game is won and lost by chance. Also, okay. So the luck factor can make some people feel terrible and frustrated uh, about the whole game. Got it. I was not expecting that. Okay. In order to make it easier to understand the visual simulation within the game and focus on approaching uh, language to use with peers. Appropriate language, not approaching, appropriate language to use with peers. The following adaptation may be helpful. Cat and ladder adaptations. This is the adaptations. Uh, Define the word chat. This is probably not as a familiar word to young children and use the word slide. Oh, okay, slide may make more sense than using the word chat. Before the game begins, look at the board with the child with autism, pointing out where the chat and the ladder begins and ends. Tracing the path of each with the finger may help make this more concrete. Putting arrow strikes on sticky notes on the board, such as green arrows going up and a red arrow going down a slide, may also help keep things easy during the gameplay. Providing a script of language to be used during the game, or phrases such as "I hope I get a ladder" or "Oh no, I landed on a slide" may help the child process their own path through the game, process their own path through the games. Phrases such as "the long ladder," "good job," or "oops, you got a slide" may help the child know what to say to peers. Okay, this can be used as a great tool for communicating uh, to help in communication. Although a challenge, if accomplished, it could be a great opportunity to have interactions with other peers, and it can also be very fun once objective is understood. The next game is Hi-Yo Cherio. I have never played this game before, but let me just go through this. Hi-Yo Cherio release players to the combinations including basic additions and subtractions in order to buckets of times from the survey their was nothing putting them back by Square to religion in autism tools and everything language. Okay, the game is a simple game here. There's a wheel, you turn the wheel, there's a tree in the game, so it helps counting. You either take cherries from the tree as the point says, or you put it back. Now, depending on uh, and you'll have to have 10 cherries in your bucket, so depending on whether you have to take cherries or put cherries, you'll be encouraging the child to learn math. There is a simple way for children to adapt this game, utilizing a script that can provide the child with language. So the basis of all this is language. You need to have a script to teach the child teach the child the language structure, to teach the child the vocabulary of all these games so that simple things are understood and they can communicate an idea. Oh, language is so important. Actions also can help, but while talking to peers, either all of you have learned the same action classes or group of actions, but it is better communicate via words. So let's see the adaptation and how it works. So something like I got one, two, three, four, or five. I got cherries. I can pick these many cherries in dash numbers. I got the dog or bird. Put two cherries back. Put one cherry back. Put dash number of cherries back. To encourage addition and subtraction skills, providing a number line from 1 to 10. So they'll have a number line from 1 to 10. Oh, so the next game is called Go Fish. Never played this game before, apparently. Hard game. Let me just go through the game. Not only does it okay, the child needs to be familiar with the concept of fishing. Okay, and they need to. Okay.
So let's talk about Go Fish. It's a classic card game, but it can be confusing for children with autism because they won't be familiar with the concept of fishing. Now you have to introduce the concept of fishing and help them to understand the vocabulary or utilize the language, such as, do you have any fives? I need a five to make a match. I remember Jane asking for a five, so Jane might be a good person to ask. And perspective talking skill. Jane asked Anthony for five, so Jane probably has a five. So this is not just one dimensional talking. You have to assume, there has to be certain assumptions that have to be made. So when Jane asks Anthony for five, Jane probably has a five. So that is an assumption that has to come to the child while preparing the child for this game. Uh, that this can be difficult for few children. In order to make this game more concrete, some adaptations can be made. So let's check out what the adaptations are. So there's a huge list of adaptations that can be made here for the game to go smoothly. Let me just go through the adaptations. Begin by explaining the concept of fishing. So introduce the concept of fishing. It it appears to the, a simple YouTube video can introduce them to the concept of fishing. An explanation that may work could be the cards in the pile are like fish in a pond, and the cards is the players. Hands are like fish on a fishing pole. The idea is to get all the fishes from the pond into the players' bowls. Okay, and the winner is the person with the most matches. Okay. If players with 52 cards, if a player with a 52 card pack, or even if a player with a Go Fish specific deck, limit the number of limit the number of cards being used so that they aren't as many cards to handle. Play with cards facing up so that everyone can see the card the other players having. Allow the children with autism to focus less on perspective talking and more on using. Okay, so avoid the concept, make sure that the cards are open so that the concept of uh, third third perspective third perspective assumptions is not required. It's they can focus more on playing the game and having fun rather than coming up with strategies. Perspective talking more on using the appropriate language. Okay, the whole focus is to make them use the appropriate language so that they will be useful. They can be used in communication, which is quite a good thing. Okay, understanding how the game is played. Okay, this strategy can face these strategies so that the child understands how this whole situation happens. This strategy can be phased out as the child becomes more familiar with the game. If cards are hidden from all players, given the child with autism and other players if desired a pencil and a paper so that they can write down notes. Zane has 5. Throughout gameplay to aid with memory. So jotting down this helps them with not only language but also their writing skill. Again, this allows for more focus on gameplay and having fun rather than remembering which player has which cards. Huh. Okay. So focus the whole game, although a card game, make sure the cards are face up so that the whole focus is on playing the game rather than the objective shifting to what cards the other person has. Okay, so next game, Old Maid. Old Maid does not require the same language, memory, or perspective skills as other card games, so it can be a good game for children for whom these skills are a challenge. As the objective of the game is fairly simple, don't end up with an old don't end up with the old maid. The game can provide children with autism a good opportunity to practice the social skills with peers throughout the gameplay. Okay, so let's go through the adaptations of this game called Old Maid. Uh, if played with 52 card pack, or even if playing with an old maid specific deck, limit the number of cards being used so that there aren't as many physical cards to handle. So limit the number of cards so it becomes easier for them to use. Use a card holder so that the child can focus on playing the game and not trying to keep all the cards in their hands at once. Huh. Okay, so that is an interesting thing. So trying to get the child to use a card holder, and the whole objective is to get them to use vocabulary and play the game and interact with other people. In all these games, it's the same scenario. It is not about getting them to be pros at the game, but rather getting them to require the skills of learning, understanding, and reciprocating accordingly. Otherwise, playing these games will be very ephemeral. The game will last for a very ephemeral period of time. Okay. If playing with use a card holder, provide a script to help children. Okay, the in all these adaptations there is a script. or there is vocabulary, and that is a kind of obvious and reoccurring concept in in all these games. It is to make them understand the vocabulary of the game. As the name suggests, the game of memory, where as the name suggests, the game of memory relies heavily on visual memory, which which for some children with autism is a great strength. Other children will struggle uh, uh, as spatial awareness and understanding the location of items as they relate to each other can be particularly challenging, let alone remembering an item locating. Okay, this game seems very tough. There are so many cards here that the game itself is memory. There are too many things to remember here, and I feel that this game can be omitted. You could have played any of these games, which are quite easy, other than basketball, of course. I Basketball seems very complicated in my head to teach the child. But if you have the patience and if you have the resilience to break down the whole game, give visual aid, and make them understand all the rules, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for the child to learn. And that is what is most important, the child learning, getting communication skills, and every other skill that is required to make it through, and to have and to improve and to have the best quality of life. I hope that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope that this video has helped, and this channel will help more people with autism. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys give us a thumbs up, leave a like, share, subscribe, and put a word in the comment section as to how things can be made better. Thank you.